What did your friend do that accidentally turned you on? Story 1. I returned from first-year college to visit high school and walked into the auditorium where an adorable girl I was friends with saw me. She stopped what she was doing, ran up the aisle, and jumped into my arms to hug me. Story 2. My friend and I watched a movie in his parents' basement in high school. It was a little chilly and we were playfully fighting over the throw blanket. It turned into a tickle fight, but I was winning because I'm not ticklish except for a few susceptible places, whereas he was ticklish everywhere. He told me it wasn't fair that he couldn't tickle me since my only awkward spots were the sides of my breasts and the back of my knees. I dared him to try it, thinking he never would, as he was a good Christian boy. He went for it and tickled me unmercifully for about a minute until it morphed into complete and total desire. He could tell the second it changed, and we made out. I would have effed him then and there, but we never went any further. We never had a repeat of the makeout session, but there was always a considerable amount of sexual tension between us after that, which ruined the friendship. Story 3. In high school, we were doing some projects in class. 3 males and 3 females. I am one of the males. All 6 of us are sitting across each other at the same table, with the chairs pushed close together. I'm in the middle, and the girl sitting across from me is pretty cute. I was never interested here in any romantic way since she was a good friend, but she's cute. She's flirting with the guy next to me, and everything is going well. Suddenly, this girl starts rubbing her leg against my legs. This goes on for like 10 whole minutes. A few more, and I would have nutted right there. It wasn't near my crotch or anything too sexual, but she was moving her leg back and forth against my leg, and I couldn't concentrate or do anything productive for my life. I hope I didn't make any weird faces. Now, from the context, you would think that she was aiming for the guy next to me, whom she was flirting with, and I still think the same. But as I said, we were friends, but neither was attracted to each other. Regardless, that was such a great feeling. I may or may not have a leg fetish now, and I may or may not have succumbed to that experience multiple times. Story 4. I found restraints on his bedpost from an encounter with an ex, made fun of him, and then asked him how they worked. Instead of telling me, he proceeded to put the ankle restraints on me and threw my legs over his neck, and showed different ways he could F me. I've known this dude since I was a kid, and he's family to me, but I instantly wanted to drop my panties and say, F our childhood, let's ruin a friendship. So, that's how I found my kink in college. Story 5. As a guy, I decided to fall asleep on a close friend's lap, who then proceeded to stroke my hair and lightly pull it. It was tough to fall asleep because I was more worried that I'd get a boner from that. Story 6. While having long phone call sessions, I had this friend who used to talk to me in this seductive-sounding Colombian accent and called me bizcocho, which is cake in Spanish. I never thought being called a dessert would be hot, or maybe I'm just weird. Story 7. We were in the same high school math class, and she tutored me middle style. She was leaning over next to me as I sat down and had her hand on my back. She was almost whispering into my ear how to figure out this problem. Something about her voice was so soothing and arousing. It was very sensual, and I still think about it often. Nothing ever happened to her. We grew apart after school. Something very similar happened at my job recently, though, so it brought me back. Story 8. A group of us went to a firework display, and during the usual louder and bigger finale fireworks, she jumped, grabbed my arm tight, and didn't let go. Not sure what happened inside me, but yeah, that did that. Story 9. I offered him a sip of my drink, and he made intense eye contact with me as he slowly put the straw in his mouth and took a nice long sip. I found it weird to be turned on so much by him sucking on a straw since I don't have a dick. We've been dating for over 2 years now. Story 10. First, he danced with me at a party and lifted me in the air. I'm not thin, and not many people have tried this with me. Then, on a trip we made with friends, his cousin made a tent using sheets and a bunk bed. We went inside to read manga on his phone. He put his arms around me so we both could see the screen. Before anyone asks, he wasn't into me back then, but now we've been together for nearly 4 years. Story 11. A friend and I were texting ferociously while she was on vacation at her dad's house 3 states away. About halfway through her vacation, she sent me a topless pic of herself with the caption, "What do you think?" That was 10 years ago, and we'd been married for 8. Story 12. He and I were watching a movie when he hugged me. While hugging me, he gently ran his hands up and down my back. He didn't mean anything sexual with it. On the other hand, I have a susceptible back and was severely turned on by it. The next day he made fun of me for being ticklish. I then admitted to the truth about that. He did it again later. Story 13. This one's a little on the nose, but there was this girl I was hanging out with just after graduating high school. She had a boyfriend, but we were good friends. We were roughhousing and pushing each other around one day, and I made her fall to the floor a little too hard. I knelt over her to see if she was okay, and through her messed up hair covering half her face, she whispered, "Just F me already." It is the hottest thing I've ever experienced to this day, a decade later. I guess I accidentally turned her on by pushing her too hard. Story 14. We were neighbors. She had just kicked out her ex-boyfriend, and we lost power due to an ice storm. The energy was restored later, but her heat wasn't working right. She called it in, but the maintenance people were busy with calls to fix the heat in other units also. We were hanging out at my place, watching movies and basking in my heat, though it was still chilly. So we shared a blanket on the couch, snuggled up together, and drank whiskey. She passed out on the sofa, so I put on an extra blanket and went to my room. About an hour later, she walks into my room, falls into bed next to me, gets under the covers, snuggles up to me, then says, "I'm cold," and passes out. I don't feel wanted in that she came to me for comfort. We didn't hook up or anything. The following day, she woke up, made me breakfast, and went back to her apartment to get her heat fixed. Story 15. We used to do this thing where she'd kiss my cheek whenever we said bye. She kissed my neck by accident because I moved. I think someone distracted me at a party. That's one of my sensitive spots. Story 16. When I was a freshman taking a 6 a.m. class and going to practice an hour after school, she let me take a nap with her lap as a pillow and played with my hair. It was so relaxing. Also, another girl got drunk and nibbled on my ear, and I was like, "Oh, damn." Going to add, she grabbed my arm as we were walking. Story 17. We were going to a picnic with our classmates. This was in 10th grade. I'm doing my second year of college now, and we were in this gigantic deluxe bus. We played hide and seek on the bus. Anyways, so while we were playing, I crossed my legs and sat down under one of the seats, and a female friend of mine came to the same spot and asked if she could hide with me. I agreed, and she lied down and placed her head on my lap, but her head was exactly on my penis. It turned me on, but I was trying hard not to have a hard-on and creep her out. Luckily, my efforts were not in vain. I kept in touch with her and mentioned this to her a few months before COVID hit. She admitted that she knew she was on my penis but didn't want to move because she thought that would make me feel awkward. We had a good chuckle and we're still good friends. Story 18. I was drinking with a friend of mine one night and she was bitching about her boyfriend at the time. I'd always been interested in her, but I also respected it when she got into relationships, even though I didn't like the guy she was with. She said she would go to bed and that I could crash on the couch since I had been drinking. She started stretching before me, and she said she always tries before bed. I wouldn't have questioned this, but she was sticking her ass right in my face and getting into some pretty suggestive poses on the floor. Finally, she went to bed and the next day thanked me for letting her vent. So many people told me she was trying to F, and I should have gone for it. But she'd been drinking and had a boyfriend, so there were 2 red flags for me not trying.